Welcome to Mile High Livewires. Each week we bring you high-energy leaders from the community to share their stories and their strategies to thrive in challenging times. My name is Matthew Ponzi. Now let's get started. Today I'm here with Jon Young, who's a good friend of mine and the owner of Level 7 Games here in Denver. And it's a game store that's super cool. It has a really unique sort of vibe to it. And if you weren't already aware, there's a huge retro boom that has been happening. Retro games are back in. So we're going to talk with Jon today, and he's going to tell us his story. So what was it that convinced you to start a business in the first place, Jon?
Well, I think to start a video game business specifically, I was inspired by, I was lucky to grow up in Denver where there was a lot of really good video game stores. We had Game Force, Buyback, I had the EB Games, we had Game Crazy, and a lot of good places that, when I decided that I wanted to go into business for myself doing retail, which is what all my experience was, and I enjoy doing retail because I love sales, I decided to go with the thing that I love most, which is video games, and, try to bring the same thing to people that those stores did for me when I was a kid or even an adult. I just love it going into game stores. So, getting to do things my way was really important, but I just wanted to sell games to people. So.
And what did you need to get started originally?
So, the biggest thing that we had to focus on was growing our inventory. There was 4 of us originally when we started, and when we first opened the store, it was just our collections combined with as much money as we could scrape together to try to buy a few other pieces here and there. We had all been working at a video game store. We were all working at Game Crazy prior to opening our own shop, which Game Crazy, rest in peace, died alongside Hollywood Video. So luckily we got out of there when we did. But once we got our inventory and found a place that we liked, which was close to home in the neighborhood that we all grew up in, it was just a matter of, refining the store and finding our customers and helping them find us.
What made you choose the name Level 7?
It's interesting that there isn't a solid answer to that. I guess first and foremost, it was out of necessity. When we originally opened, we were named Game On, and we thought that was pretty clever. But it turns out there was another store in Centennial that also thought it was pretty clever, and they had it first, and we didn't research that well enough. So that was interesting. They kindly asked us to change our name, like 2 months after we had opened. And so we did. Level 7 was one that got kicked around a bunch early in the name choosing cycle, I guess. And, it was just the one that stuck. It sounded good. It's got a lot of good references. You can kind of like pull meaning from it from a lot of different video games. And, nothing specific more than that. We are working with a comic book artist, our buddy Joe Oliver, who is writing a fictional, cool but fictional backstory to the Level 7 name.
Cool, that's awesome. Is he gonna like drop like a storyboard or?
So we already have the storyboard. In fact, one of the older owners, Elijah Taylor, wrote the entire script for the comic. He's a good writer, and our buddy Joe is going to be illustrating it for us. So that's the plan, at least. We'll see.
Awesome. So obviously the COVID pandemic has been a huge challenge. Have you guys come across any other big challenges? And how are you working through the COVID pandemic?
Okay, so the first part of that, as far as big challenges, changing our name was a big challenge. We weren't quite sure how to go about that. There was 4 of us that had no background in how to run a business, how to open a business, and maybe we didn't do enough research because from conception to opening the store only was about a month. But anyhow, changing our name was interesting. We also, when we opened, selected the wrong business type. So we did an S Corp. We should have been a C Corp at the time. And so changing that was a huge pain as well. Luckily, we got a lot of help from a DU program that they had for small businesses. So that was really cool. You know, the ins and outs, heaters breaking, stuff like that, is always a pain. Just unforeseen challenges in the way. Right now, I think it's probably the biggest hurdle that we've ever dealt with this whole COVID thing. But I think we're getting through it all right. So I guess to go into the second part of the question, how are we dealing with it? Right. So originally, when word started coming down the pike that we might have to close, we or that even people were getting sick and that this was a thing immediately, maybe not immediately enough, but as quickly as we could figure out that this was as serious as it is, we started changing our policies to letting fewer and fewer people in the store, canceling our tabletop events, and then eventually going to curbside delivery and pickup until we had to close on the 24th of last month. Since then, we've, my staff and I, we focused on creating content for our Facebook, Instagram, you know, just the people that we like to connect with in the store, but also follow us on our social medias. We put a lot of effort into our web store to be able to provide as much as we could from our homes online to people as we could. And our eBay and TCG player accounts have been, actually, all of our web stuff has been doing pretty well, but building out the web store was definitely like the biggest step that we've taken in dealing with this so far.
So how have you guys managed to find a really good staff and good employees to work for you?
I think that we have been super blessed with the staff that we have. A lot of our staff were originally customers. Some of the staff were friends of mine from middle school or elementary school. But a good portion of the people that we hire start out as customers, and, you know, we get to know them and realize that they're in level 7 games because they want to be there. I'm in level 7 games because I want to be there. You know what I mean? And so I think like-minded people just want to work together and get some stuff done. So our staff has pretty much walked right through the doors and asked for jobs. Sometimes they don't even ask, I ask them, and, you know, it's worked out really well over the years. And I only hire my friends or people that I consider my friends.
Right. Sometimes that's not a good idea in business, but clearly for you guys, it's working.
It is working. And I think that, you know, it's important for me. For one, I mean, you know, working with a retail background, I've worked for plenty of people that did not consider me their friend, or even friendly. A lot of people were there just for the job, and that's fine for that environment. But I don't think that would work for level 7. I don't think that would work for a lot of mom and pop shops. I kind of hate that term just because it makes you sound dinky or whatever, but I mean, it is what it is. Being able to know that you trust the guy working for you, and he trusts you to take care of him as best as you can, is kind of like the entire relationship to me. I want them to feel safe in their job, and I want to know that they're working and care about the store, you know, as much as I do. And I feel that all my staff does.
It's a good feeling.
It is.
So what's next for level 7?
You know, I think I'm going to pause on opening new locations for a little while. Right now, we're really focused on the tabletop side of the business, growing our Magic the Gathering selection and tournaments and stuff like that, which unfortunately are on hold right now, obviously. But we assume that things will get back to normal eventually. And when they do, you know, we'll start expanding on that. You know, we're always making more t-shirts and stuff. but right now, I think the next goal is for us to get through this this coronavirus thing, put all of our attention into what we can do to grow as a business right now, and then once we come out the other end of it, and however it shakes out, will kind of lead us to what our next focus is going to be. I've always kind of, I'll plan ahead. I have ideas, obviously, but it's like, I don't want to plan so far ahead, especially during such a tumultuous time, to potentially set myself up for failure or disappointment. So right now, I think my entire focus is just getting things back to level, and then the sky's the limit.
And for those of you guys who haven't been to a level 7 yet, you don't know that they have awesome t-shirts that they make in-house. A lot of them are video game themed, and you guys have some other sort of themes to your shirts from time to time, don't you?
Yeah, sometimes we'll do just like takes on our logo or something. Like just recently we did like a biohazard symbol, and then it's got the level 7 logo in each one of the little circles. So that one was fun. We did that one as like a fundraiser while we were down, and I did $10 t-shirts. I think we're still running it. But yeah, a lot of video game stuff, a lot of like nerd and geek themed, video game tie-in type stuff. It's kind of whatever we want to do, which is why we started doing it. We just had so many ideas that paying people to make the shirts got too expensive. So we said, screw it, let's learn how to make shirts. And we did, the power of YouTube and Google.
So I got this question from a good friend of mine. He asked, how does the rare section of your store work? And do you often sell things like Mario watches, which are super unique and very rare?
So, the way I've always explained my inventory, because I personally don't collect anymore. The only thing that I collect are I've got like my From Software, Soulsborne, like Dark Souls, Bloodborne, like merchandise and stuff like that. I really dig that. But ever since we opened the store and we used our personal collections to open it, restarting just felt a little heavy. So the way that I've viewed the stores is they're my collection, right? So I have a space, just like, anybody's like den in their house that they dedicate to video games, and I display my collection for people to pick through and buy stuff. And with the rare stuff, we buy that with the intention of collecting it. Like somebody else is going to eventually want that in their collection enough to buy it. And, maybe it's not right away, but in the meantime, if we think it's cool enough, it becomes part of our collection.
Awesome. Now, do you have any games that you believe are underrated, or any hidden gems that you'd recommend to people who are just tuning in?
Yeah. Shadows of the Damned. I don't know if you played that. It's Suda51. The dude who did like all the Travis Touchdown games and stuff. It was Shinji Mikami, the dude who did Resident Evil 4. And then I can't remember the sound director's name, but he did really cool stuff in that too. But that's a good game. It's kind of like Devil May Cry meets Resident Evil, but super wacky. Trying to think, if you've never heard of it, Dark Souls is pretty good, but I'm trying to think underrated though. What is an underrated game? That's probably my number one, is Shadows of the Damned. I love it. That game has the most satisfying headshot in all of video games. I'm gonna say it right now. Argue with me.
Awesome. I'm gonna have to check that one out. Well, cool. So Jon, thank you so much for your time. Now, where can people find you in Level 7 and follow you and support you?
Yeah. So primarily, I would normally direct you to our physical locations. We have 2 in Denver and 1 in Lakewood. Right now, unfortunately, they are closed, but we are looking to open them, at least for curbside delivery, in the next 2 weeks. The easiest place to find us would be level7games.com, which is our website and web store. It's got all of our location information, individual phone numbers, and Google Maps, all that jazz. it also has links to our eBay and TCG player if you're into like Magic singles and stuff. It's gonna have all the information about any events we're doing, any promotions we're running, anything like that. So the website is definitely the best place to start. Yeah, we hope to see you there.
Excellent. Thank you so much for your time, Jon. And anything else you'd like to tell us, or any advice that you have for other young professionals and business owners out here?
Get a good accountant, get a good lawyer. You know, just be fluid, be ready for anything to happen. And, you know, when it does, react. Don't get sad, don't get bummed out. You know, when something bad happens, it's just a learning opportunity.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Jon. I appreciate your time, and we'll talk again here soon.
Thanks, Matt. See you later, dude.